Welcome back for another Reddit story video. Today we have two crazy revenge stories for you to enjoy. As always, don't forget to share and like if you enjoy these videos. Without further ado, here we go. Steal my scholarship after I save your school? I'll destroy your life. By the way, these people have gone to great lengths to find me. Blessed with a common name, I've avoided them. Attempts were made on my life, as in almost ran over. Someone tried to burn our house down, so please understand I can't post anything that can lead these people to catch any hint as to where I am. I can't risk one of you finding these people and leading them to me. A long time ago, in the year of 2004, I attended a shitty high school. They cut costs on everything, and I mean everything but teacher wages. Only way to keep them. It was an alternative school. My father was in IT, so I was around computers all my life. This was a known fact. I would constantly break into school computers just to play SNES ROMs. Most of the time no one cared, and the computer lab teacher loved me because I constantly be repairing for her. Such a sweet lady. Shout out to Mrs. Bell. Love you. Anyway, so our school had about 200 computers, and they all sucked. Not a single one was good. Well, there was one that I upgraded with my own parts to play games. I donated it to Mrs. B and only her, and I got to touch it. So I would do a cast introduction, but there is so many I'll just do it as I go. Enter evil principal and his cunt son evil kid, me and Miss B. EP was a cheap man and an asshole. He would get me to repair electronics for him and not even pay or give me extra credit. EK thought he was good at computers. He just knew how to format. That's his solution to everything. CPU running slow, format. So the school did well in a statewide test. I'm talking no student got below 90. And our state is stupid. So we got a huge grant to upgrade our computers. Now, being a cheap man, our teacher uses a sleazy ass computer shop and has them ordered. I offered to help, but EK was already on the job. They ordered 250 new CPUs and they are pretty decent. And EP pocketed the rest of the effing fund. This comes up later. So 250 CPU are delivered, Miss B and I get to work, EP and EK and the swamp go off for a family vacation as it's spring break. We give up ours because he threatens to fire Miss B if anything goes wrong. So after 50 CPUs we were 2 days in. The cheap F cut the power to everything that wasn't important. I get to the front office, take a break and decide to boot up one of these bad boys because the secretary still worked and I could start data transferring. When I come to see, no effing OS has been installed. That's right, no keys, no OS, nothing. The cheap F elected to get OS because it saved him $100 per machine. That stupid effing cheap cunt. I run to Miss B and the fact I was running meant as she knew something was up. Not a runny type of kid. Miss B, oh god, what? Mr. EP didn't buy the OS keys? She was dumbfounded, got up and exited. Suddenly the overhead lights came on and we boot 60 CPU to find not a single goddamn one had an OS installed. Now she panics and is by the books, gall and calls EP. I didn't get to hear much, but I caught the tail end. EP, I don't see this as an emergency. I was with my family. Miss B, sir, this is an emergency, we need keys. EP, no money for keys. Then no computers, you got 250 paperweights. EP, that sounds like a you problem, buy the keys yourself. Miss B, I can't afford that, you know how much those are. EP, either I have running computers or a new CPU teacher by Monday. Click. Oh, I was pissed because I never saw Miss B cry. So I dialed my dad and asked for a solution and he was off and he said he would be right down. We set up and my dad and his 3 IT crew show up. They were pissed too, but they had beer and brought the party to school. Now this wasn't a break the law plot, just have some fun while doing a shit ton of free work as they were on vacation and were going to be here for days. We had 30 disks of an unnamed OS and my father's corporate key. His work gave him one for home use and he was ready to help. So 3 days later we had 250 computers set up, wired whole school, wired networked internet, updated all the school software, installed everything. Beers were drunk, we camped in the school, we even watched movies off a projector. It was an effing blast. The next Monday everyone came back from vacation to see shiny new computers. We spent the next 2 days assigning logins to the staff and students, teaching others to use the new systems. Miss B was hailed as a hero by staff and everyone knew I helped. But now the betrayal. You see, Miss B deeds didn't go unnoticed and she was offered a fancy new job. She hated EP and took it. Since she would no longer be teaching and there was only one CPU class for stragglers, EP let her go with no shade. 2 weeks before she left, she wrote a letter for a scholarship program the school offered for a tech school in their district. Think high school for mega nerds. Gave copies to me and EP and departed, but in her absence, things started going south. CPU needed fixing, and an important note, lockers theft started occurring bad. I'm talking so bad the super installed cameras in the locker areas because parents were getting pissed. Now, we hold an assembly to honor the good students and all that shit, and it's a well-known fact of my deeds. The supers there, EP, EK, and his mom were there. My parents didn't have the time. It was cool, I didn't care. They get down the list and then the story. How a teacher and student gave up their vacation, how they rescued the school from an ordering error, lol, and how they wish the teacher was here to honor her, but they can honor the student in her place. I grinned, I was being praised by the man who I hated the most. I was orgasmic and lucky I was wearing baggy pants to hide my massive erection. EP, please a round of applause to EK, my son, for saving the school's computers. Your actions have not got unnoticed as you have gotten a full scholarship to the tech school. I didn't hear the rest of my world went red. My friend held me back as to not charge the stage. I was literally going to kill those MFs with my bare hands. I do remember the booing. I left for the day. I was livid. They just took credit for my work, stole my scholarship, treated Miss B poorly, and thought I would take it? Revenge wasn't enough. No, I was going to destroy them. Finally, the revenge. Weeks had passed by. I had exactly 1 month to do this with a group of 8 who knew the whole story and were literally the 8 smartest students. The Revenge Council was formed. We never met on school grounds, never at the same place twice, followed a strict set of rules, and we formed our plan. They only helped me form the plan, I did the legwork, so phase 1. Phase 1. This was to destroy EK, so I spoke with the super and told him the story. How I was being robbed, he said I would need proof. That was easy, I already had it, but I needed time, so I said let me collect it. He said he would also look into it. I needed him to distract EP. Now, I didn't have access to the school functions, but Miss B did. I contacted her and explained what happened. She was pissed. She said she would come in and fix it, but mentioned I needed to make sure this never happened again. Oh, that laugh of her, so effing adorable. I crushed hard, she was effing beautiful. The council had our 9th member. I just needed one thing, her login, and she happily provided. As long as there was no trill. Cameras are now under my control. Now remember the locker theft? While cruising the cameras, we confirmed who we all thought the thief was, and guess who the culprit was? EK had used his EP login to access the locker combo sheet and was stealing shit, covering his tracks by deleting camera footage. No. Not this time though, not this time. See, my dad had gotten a new laptop and gifted me his old one, at that time $2,500 custom made laptop. That thing was my main computer for years after this, but I had to risk it. So one day I brought it to school, showed it off, played some heavy graphic games. EK buddied up to me, his eyes lit up. The bait was set. He followed me, talking video games, inviting me to his place for some game sessions as I'm walking to my locker. He turns around as per school rule, not to see my combo, and I place my laptop back in as my next class is PE and his was free study. Bait in the trap. He asked, EK, aren't you afraid of it getting stolen? Me, nah, my dad can always get another from work, plus that, points to the camera. EK, yeah, those catch everything, plus I heard they caught the thief. Dad says when it's proven, he's gonna announce it. Me, that's a relief. Get with me after school, I live close and we can walk home and game out. I leave the direction of PE, but it's not my class. I had free study. I stealth my way into the math class and tell the teacher I'm updating CPUs and he loves me and allows me and starts his class. I watch the cams. 20 minutes later, EK shows up with a garbage bag. Pulls a notebook, opens my locker and grabs laptop. opens the bag to confirm it, pulls it out and places it in the garbage bag. Grabs the mouse and charger too, returns laptop bag and leaves. He's wearing gloves. Thinks he's clever. I save the file, wait another 20 minutes, solve a math problem for the class, look to see the file for that area is deleted. I hide the copied files and restore them. Hiding was just the backup. Didn't need it, but I wanted a copy to which I still have this day. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2. At launch, I go to the locker and pretend to discover my empty bag. I was with a council member. She runs to grab the school cop and they come. As they are real cops, he radioed for a squad car and I shit you not 5 cars show up and they locked that shit down. They were about to launch a locker search but decided to check the cameras. This was done in EP's office where EK happened to be playing games. EP comes in, gives them access. EP. Some reason the file's corrupt. It's a recent problem that we're fixing. EK smirks. Cop. Okay, guide me to today's camera and which one is that area. EP. I think cam 6, wrong. No, it's cam 9. You dense MF. Cop. Here it is, I found it. File's fine. EK goes white. I wish I could tell you what happens next, but I was excused as they found out their culprit. Then I see it, EK and EP walking out with 2 police escorts and I'm called back in. I get to see the footage. Cop 3 shows me that EK was the one who stole it. I act shocked. I'm good at acting too. Sobbing slightly, he was my friend, how could he, etc. 50 minutes and he walks in and hands me it. EK, I'm sorry, please don't press charges, I just wanted to play it, I was gonna put it back. Cop, it's out of his hand, as the value of the item was more than $1,000, I'm afraid it's a felony. Charges will be filed. Turn around and hands behind your back. EP face sunk. His boy was the school thief, he used his dad login to get locker combos and delete the cams. They searched his house and found over $5,000 of stolen property in his room. He was effed, but I wasn't done. As he rotten in jail, it was EP's turn. This phase was not as long as I only had to do one thing. Ward hadn't reached school yet. EP covered his son with a coat and he was let out and I was told not to say a word to anyone. But Super was going to question me on this incident. After a long questioning, he brings up the proof. I said yes, I had it and presented a copy of the letter Miss B wrote. He reads it, jaw dropping, and quickly calls her. After a brief phone call, a meeting was set up. EP, Super, Nintendo, Chalmer, and Miss B, my dad, also came. We explained what happened. I gave up my entire week to save the school's computers, how my father came in and did free work, how this could have been prevented if EP wasn't so cheap. But as with all great plans, you can't plan for everything. I expected a sacking, I got much more. So it came to light how much the budget was and how much was really spent. So where was the rest? Turns out EP stole it. He skimmed the top of a lot of budget, but he hid this one as he thought well. I don't know the details to that, but one. He used the excuse of the OS keys. My dad pipes up when he tries. Dad, I donated my personal corporate key, super corporate key. Dad, it lets me install as many times OS as want. It's how we didn't have to buy 250 keys. He explained it to the Super and he was shocked. He showed the Super proof the key was his and put up on a CPU to show them they were the same. EP had no way out. Me, why didn't tech school didn't get this letter? EP, in sobs, I had to approve all letters sent on school's behalf. She's no longer worked here when time came. Me, bullshit, you had 2 weeks to send it, you just wanted to steal my scholarship for your thief of a kid. Every class in on that floor heard me shout that Dad and I left and Super and EP were going to talk. Dad, if my son doesn't get the scholarship by tomorrow, remove my keys from all school CPUs. Needless to say, phase 3 complete. There was 2 weeks left of school. Scholarship was mine, whole story came out anyway. Turns out he skimmed all the money he saved and we spent the next 2 weeks without EP in sight. To be honest, I never learned his fate, but I know EK's. The attack? It was second last day of school. EK was out on bail or something, he was expelled, he decided to wait for me in the parking lot. As I was walking out, I see him. He sees me. I think he wants to apologize. Nope, stares at me and walks away. I shrug and walk a block away. 2 football jogs across the street. Then I feel it.
Hard punch to the back of my head, EK just sucker punched me and had me on the ground. I flipped to my back, and back then, while it's low, I know, but I fight dirty. As he's on top of me, hitting my face, I plant a knee right into his balls, destroying them. I went hard. He falls over and sees in pain. I'm pissed though, but one of the jocks pulls me off. And I shit you not, the other says, "This is for my dead father's necklace," and he stomps his hand as hard as he could. Iki passes out, cops shows up, same one as before, and now he gets assault and possession of a deadly weapon, had a knife. Hauled off to ER. Then jail. Fall caused me to twist ankle and I was limping. After the dust clears a few months go by, I find he gets 10 effing years prison time, and I regret nothing. Should have just not stolen credit for my work. Some of you will say I went too far. I want you to know you are correct. Don't F with me. Crazy ex-mother tries to get me thrown out of university. My mother ruins their life. This is a long one. It requires some setup. The main players are my mother, M, my ex, ex-mother, XM, my fiance, just a fling at the time, F, and me. So a bit of backstory and groundwork. At the time, I was a university student in my second year of biotechnology. I'm autistic and have another heap of social issues. Suffice to say, I can't do emotions easily. Then you have M. She lives with her boyfriend, now my stepdad, who was very high up in the high risk at the BBC, British Broadcasting Company. It's a national TV corp in the UK and runs a PMC, private military contractor. M works as a head admin for the company, and most of the guys working owe her favors. When she talks about it, you would think it's some James Bond level shit. Then there's the X, a real bunny boiler. She's lovely and sweet 90% of the time, somewhat childish and feels like she's supposed to be 16, not 19. However, the other 10% of the time she's pure crazy and evil. Not that anyone who hadn't dated her knew it. When we were dating, she would cause me to have breakdowns about once every 2 weeks and would gaslight me often enough. My friend group at the time just assumed I was going through a rough patch due to the exams and uni stress. Then you have XM, a self-obsessed woman who is of the opinion that her little girl could never harm a fly. A very controlling woman who would puppet X to say what she wanted. At the time, me, X, and a few friends lived together in the university accommodation. Basically, everyone has their own room and bathroom, but shared communal area. And all amenities and repairs are prepaid and covered for by the uni. It's expensive, like £100 a week, but fantastic if you are a student, as you don't have to worry about fixing things or paying bills. Now we have that out of the way, our story starts simple. For a few weeks we've been rocky. She's been telling me off more and more, and I've been having more and more breakdowns. I was gifted a set of very lovely and expensive porcelain roasting trays by my gran. This was her last gift to me before she passed away. The rule in the kitchen was no one touched them but me. Axe is cleaning the kitchen with flatmates and decided to put away these roasting trays and accidentally drops one. Friends say she did it deliberately. I wave it away and ask her to get me a new one. I assume it's an accident and put my anger to the side. About 2 weeks pass and we break up. Easter rolls around, most of the flat goes home, I don't, I have work, she doesn't because whatever reason. And one other, we'll call her Libby. Libby can drive and has a car. Over Easter, a friend from a club both me and X attend starts flirting with me. This is F. And then, since I'm autistic, I don't get what's going on till Libby tells me to take the poor girl on a date. So I do. I ask Libby to drive us and X tries to get in the car, saying she's coming with us. WTF? No. We tell her to jog on. She keeps this up, trying to act as if we were still together. Creeping on me, trying to get me in my room at night. Somehow, always being in the kitchen when I'm in there, trying to wear sexy clothing, etc. You are supposed to tell accommodation if people are doing things like this. I told accommodation and they told me to man up and just deal with it. Oh, and she stopped washing. Like anything. No clean clothes or anything. 2 weeks of this pass. We are starting to enter exam time. My porcelain roasting dishes still haven't been replaced. I don't care about anything else but my exam and those roasting dishes. They were very dear to me. So I politely ask her to replace them. She's in her room watching anime. Tells me in no uncertain terms to F off and she will get round to it. She doesn't have time with all her revising. 3 days later, we have a power out and I'm set on the washing machine. It's in another building on my phone using my data and decided to find a replacement. I find one on Amazon for about £40, $50. It takes me less than 10 minutes and I send it to her on Facebook. She ignores it, so I sent her another message pointing out she could even make use of my Amazon Prime to have it to me in 2 days. Then that's it. Never have to deal with each other again. She storms down the corridor and bangs on my door, screaming, swearing, and being a general crazy person. I finally lose my temper and yell at her to shut up and decide to lay down the truth and tell her that she needs to get her shit in order, replace the stuff she broke, and take a damn shower. She turns away from me and starts walking down the corridor, still screaming and being a crazy person. I grab her shoulder, trying to get her to stop so we can finally fix this shit show. She turns around and tries to punch me. I instantly try and defend myself and knock her over. F, who was chilling in my room, sees all of this. X screams and starts saying I assaulted her and runs into her room. I go have a shower and try to relax. Now, this bit is information from friends and discovered after the fact. X hung herself via a choker on her coat hooks to make it look like I strangled her, then called her parents to say I strangled her from nowhere. You're supposed to take events to accommodation before it's forwarded to the police. X refused to talk to the police about it. F, however, insisted we provide a pre-formed statement. It's something you can do to say, this happened, this is my half of it, I'm worried the other person will come in to lie, I want this on record. That woman is a godsend. XM turns up and lives in X rooms for several days. You are not supposed to have visitors turn up for more than one night and only with booking. And starts making life difficult for the entire flat. Trying to conduct an investigation and asking all sorts of questions. Eventually everyone starts to avoid her. XM reports it to the accommodations and provides a load of evidence that is falsified. I get called in and told what's going on and that I need to provide a statement, etc. I ask to see the evidence and the uni refuses. I'm 19 at this point and I have no idea what to do, so I call M. She tells me to, and to this day I remember the words because she was apocalyptic. Sit tight, do nothing, sign nothing. I'll be down tomorrow. Now M is a lovely woman, but she has this ungodly ability to terrify anyone. I'm not sure if it's a mother thing or just unique, but my entire flat met her once before this incident. And I was told by all of them if she ever is coming down again, give us a warning so we can run. The warning they got was my best friend, let's call him Skip, and guy who lives next door to me, having her knock on his window at 10 AM to be let in. We live in a gated area with security guards. We still aren't sure how she got in. It's a 4.5 hour drive to my uni from my mother's house, and she was dressed like she was about to represent someone in court. So, he shit his pants and he let her in. I woke up, showered and met her in the kitchen, where she had been made a cup of tea by Skip. He looked like he had just been informed there was a live grenade in his rectal cavity. She asked him to go get everyone else in the flat except X and XM. Now I say ask because it was phrased as could he please, but we both knew if he said no, then he would probably wish he would have been able to drown himself in the teacup. I was then asked where XM and X were. I told her that they were probably out as they spent a lot of time of the day out because I cooked in the kitchen a lot, and XM and X were told by accommodation not to be in the same room as me. M then proceeded to not so much interview but interrogate every member of the flat for every detail about the past months. She then asked everyone to write that all down and sent her a signed copy. The next people to discover why my mother was feared was the accommodation people. She basically sat down with them and was very polite in the same way a lawyer is polite with the opposition. She went from polite and warm to the same grenade in anus expression that Skip had. When she was done chewing them out, she handed them a small card and said, any further communications with my son is also to be copied to me. And my lawyer, both emails are here. It wasn't angry or loud, it was polite, cold and quiet. They almost ran out the door after taking the card. 3 days later, I sit my exams and fail, and several weeks pass and a hearing is arranged. This is basically a meeting between me and the university conducts and appeals people my mother is invited to attend, followed by a meeting with X and XM who have also just sat through a hearing. The hearing is in between exams and resits, so about 1.5 months after I sit my exams. In the time in between, I go home to M and she has me see several professionals who ask a lot of questions, write letters and stuff. M also gets me to visit the local Buddhist, etc. Helps me chill out and recover from almost 6 months of mental abuse. XM turns up and is glaring daggers at my mother, who greets her by first and last name, having never met the woman, asks about EM's other kid, her job, her oldest kid's job, and her husband by name and his job. XM looks shocked but ignores my mother. I'm sat there trying to work out what the F is going on, and when M became sort of informational mogul, X is wearing some kind of stupid bell dress and actually effing cat ears, I'm wearing a suit. In the hearing, the evidence XM provided is shown to us, and M basically rips them apart, pointing out that the accommodation failed in its duty to protect my mental health and prevent abuse. Atop this, she also points out that she took X's side without questions, but were constantly questioning mine, along with several letters from psychologists basically saying X is a crazy bitch and should be kept away from me, and that XM only made it worse and should never be permitted to communicate with me. The hearing just nods and tries to keep a straight face. According to M, they knew they were effed. We meet with XM and X. I say that all I want is an apology and my roasting dish is fixed. XM tells me they would rather go to court than apologize to me for assaulting her daughter. X is looking very downcast and the uni people are looking terrified. It's at this point M stands up and thanks the uni people for all they have done, and that so long as this doesn't escalate, she hopes to see them at my graduation. She then looks at XM and thanks her and says that she hopes that she has an interesting summer. I ask M what that was all about, and this is when I finally got told the hand she's been holding. XM works as a school cafeteria lady, and if she is externally investigated on her via DBS for anything kids related, she is likely to get fired. X-dad works at a bank that's going to have layoffs soon, and M's company is doing a very big contract for the company, and X-eldest sister is an investigator and you need to have a spotless DBS, criminal background check for that. Last I heard, their entire life had gone to shit and the only one still working was the eldest sister. Was asked not to return to uni accommodation and told that if she was going to be in the same module as me, she will have to transfer module or sit it in a different year. This was all about 2 years ago now. I'm graduated with a 2-1 and am now living with F. The flat is still good friends and we meet up about once a month. So those were the stories for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be highly appreciated. It really does help my channel out. Also, if you enjoy this and want to stay up to date on the latest videos, then don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for listening and I will see you in the next video.